straight to questions.
Coach, have you seen Wade? At times it's been a little off, but play a little more under control this season than he was last year?
Yeah, I think he has more experience. I think that regardless of your talent, it's a big adjustment from somewhere other than playing at arguably the highest level you can play at in the world other than the NBA. And so he has a very high IQ, and he has always had that. And so I think maybe the process is somewhat expedited just because he can think it in addition to doing it. And so when you combine the experience that he had last year playing real minutes as a freshman, I do think that he's more confident, he's more aware of what could happen, what should happen, and he's thinking what's next quicker, which is a sign of a good player.
With a player like him as a coach, as he matures, is there some level of trying to make sure you keep that aggressiveness while also playing under control and you don't lose?
Yeah, it's a thin line at times. I tell him at times I probably give him too much grace because he knows how to kind of facilitate back and forth, and sometimes it's really good, and then sometimes you're like, no, don't do that. But I have to be careful, I think, when I say that. Sometimes defensively, he'll take himself out of position, and it's a bad result. And sometimes he takes himself out of position, and it's a good result. Sometimes he takes a shot that you're like, we don't have to have that right now. Oh, good shot, you made it. So there's a little bit of immaturity on my part, but he's aware of it too. Like he knows the rope, so to say. Like, yeah, I can't do that. I should do that. And I think some of that does come from his experience. He shot a lot different balls last year in November than he did this November. But it is a delicate line for sure.
Guys still talk about going into a game, focusing more on what they do than their opponent, but that's pretty common right all the way through November and December, isn't it?
I don't know. I kind of fight that a lot. I think some of that is just what is it that I need to know versus, or our staff needs to know versus what is it that our players need to know. And to some degree, Olin, we're not as good as we should be on our stuff. And so when you give a percentage of your time with your team to somebody else's team, it doesn't negate the importance of that, but you also have to be aware that you're taking away time from giving it to your own self and improving. And so I don't know what the right answer is. We have focused more on us than I remember ever doing in the month of November, and we have seen some growth. It's almost like we've played three different scenarios. Played two at home, and there was a lot of good things. Played two at Myrtle Beach, and there was more bad things than you could ever imagine. And then the next two, one at Myrtle Beach and one on the road, were good. And so, like when you study our numbers, they're skewed. Our individual numbers are skewed. If you want to talk about Henry, Boots, and 4. If you talk about our team numbers, giving up 103 points to Colorado. So, like, 6 games is a small sample size in regards to, like, where is this all trending, particularly when you feel like it's been 3 different, I don't know if phases would be the word, but this will be the last game of the month, and so hopefully we can take the next step in comparison to how we played on Friday.
Well, it's not just defense. I know in the games y'all lost, your opponent shot real well from three-point line, but so opposed, from some obvious things, what are some of the things that you really that you're focused on and getting better? Besides the thing that, anybody would look at and say, oh yeah, obviously they want to do better there.
Yeah. I have a long list. Which list would you like? We need to get to the bonus first. We need to try defensively not to allow them in the bonus. We foul way too much, too far away from the basket. We need to get back in transition and calm the ball down. When we are in a set half-court defense, our numbers are really good. When we don't ever get our defense set, our numbers are bad. And then conversely, in transition, for us offensively, our numbers are exemplary. Defensive rebounding is hurting us. Fouling too far away from the basket is hurting us. Offensive rebounds are helping us, and we get fouled at a very high rate. And so, to me, the pendulum are those things. Can we defend without fouling? Can we finish the possession with the rebound? Offensively, can we get fouled or can we get an offensive rebound? And like if you just study those numbers, it thus far has told a lot about the storyline of the game.
And what are some things that you really, especially in the 2 games, last 2 games with the bounce back, that you think, I'm really pretty happy and pleased with what I saw?
I would say the togetherness and the competitiveness that we played with the last 2 games were more what we need to be about. The previous 2 games, we were diametrically opposed to that. And the first 2 games, I thought we were fine. But I would say that the togetherness, there were, I'm going to show our guys 14 clips today at DePaul where a teammate did the right thing, made a good play, whatever the category would be, and 3 of the 4 players on the floor with that particular player had some level of literally clapping, fist bump, go pick them up. That happened 14 times on the road, and I think that was the spirit in which we played and the competitiveness in which we showed and the togetherness in what we were trying to do.
You've got 3 players from that area with Wade and Manny and Julius, so they're very familiar with SMU. I'm looking at the roster. The rest of the team may not be so much, but I'm wondering if there could be any more juice playing a team from Texas, a Power 5 team, or a really good team from Texas.
The last time we did it, we weren't as good, so I hope we have more juice this week playing a team from Texas and then playing at a different location in Texas. I know that those 3 guys are probably familiar with some of their players. They have multiple transfers on their team. But some of those high school kids and transfers that are from the state, those guys have played against one another before their arrival in college or their current stop in college. So I don't know if it'll be extra. I hope it's extra in regards to kind of how we played the last 2 games. And 4 for sure came in the right direction. Henry came in the right direction. We were going to start Jew in the last game, and there was a confusion on the book at DePaul. Jew has a distinct presence with the ball in his hand. We need him to continue to get better on the glass, but he's a different version of anybody else that we have. I thought Mo played his best game and was very solid and played with great pop on Friday. I thought that was the best he had played all year. So regardless of where they're from, I hope they all play good.
Do you know anything about the Zach Nuttall, the kid that played here at Bryant?
Yeah, I know his mom. His mom's a pastor at a church here, and when I was a part of recruiting Brian Davis, obviously I have like the highest level of respect for Coach Davis, and through Coach Davis, I met Zach's mom. Jason Hooten and I are longtime Division II assistant coaching friends, and we've known one another most of our lives. And so I knew he had a great career at Sam Houston. So I think his last season at Sam was during COVID. I think, yeah. I think he was Southland Conference Player of the Year. I think I'm the only person that's worked at 2 Southland Conference institutions, so I'm partial to the Southland.
I think you've addressed this before, but I've watched a lot of basketball the last 2 weeks, and I went, that guy's from Tech, now he's up here, that guy from Baylor, now he's up here.
Yes.
Does that make scouting a little bit more difficult when all these rosters turn over like they do?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit to how I was trying to answer Olin's question. Like, there's the volatility of roster change is at an all-time high in regards to the opponent. But it's also at an all-time high in regards to yourself. And so, like, while you're spending energy and emotion trying to diagnose the opponent, there's some degree of, well, I'm not even exactly sure what we're good at yet. And so I don't know. I think it's another unintended consequence to how the model of college athletics has changed. Like, I honestly don't know what the line is, kind of like what Travis is asking with 4. Like, 4 plays with such, like, if I was a fan, I would want 4 to play every minute because he's just, like, fun to watch. And I kind of get entrenched in, man, I love this kid. I like, make that shot. No, steal another ball. No, play real fast. No, get fouled. And then I'm kind of like, for multiple possessions, I'm locked in, and I'm like, I'm the president of Force Fan Club. But then it becomes the same thing, like most coaches just watch hours and hours of tape, and you're like, okay, this is what the opponent does. Okay, now how am I going to show them what the opponent does? And players know players, and so you want to show clips of pick a player. Well, you have to go to their previous institution to show clips, but those clips of his game may not then apply to how he's playing at the new place, if that makes sense. And so I'm not complaining at all. I'm just saying I don't know yet, like, what is the right balance. And I would say that we're in week 4 of the season, and I think there is more comfort and confidence within our program that we're trying to perfect us. And the way I've been communicating it with the staff is like, we have 2 days before and we have 1 day before. Well, that has typically been for the opponent. So we're about to have 1 day before in just a minute. Well, we're watching us. And then we kind of splice in a few things on SMU. But it's 85% of the verbiage, of the clips, of the practice itinerary. It's just us. And then we're sprinkling in, hey, guys, remember this? This is what they do. Oh, yeah. And so I would say that percentage is different than at any other time in my career. Is that right? I don't think there's enough data to say I'm right, and I don't necessarily think there's enough data to say I'm wrong. But I can say that I have spent more time studying us than I have the opponent than ever before. And what I've tried to do, our staff has tried to do, is here's all of this stuff on the opponent. And if you were to write a research paper, what are the 3 most important things? What are the 4 most important things? And now, how can we show the 4 most important things to our team? And it's almost more like concepts. Like, guys, they do this, and here's the concept. Now let me show it to you. Instead of the intricacies and, like, we used to do gold actions, and gold meant their top 4 things. And then we would do silver, and that meant their next 2 things. Like, we don't say those things anymore. Now, some of our old guys know what gold means, but I want them to know our plays. And I want to give time to them knowing what we're supposed to do, as opposed to they kind of know what we're doing, and then they pick up on bits and pieces of what the opponent's doing, and then we're just not very good at either.
Will that change, or should that change as you go into conference play? That you'll know that they'll.
Well, I think there'll be more, obviously we have another month or so. I think there'll be more evidence by the time we get to there on who we are, and there's also more evidence on who the opponent is. Like, I could be wrong. I quit looking at social media after we got beat against Murray State, and now I'm getting to where I only look at the scores the morning after, because the night of the games I end up watching clips of us or clips of the opponent. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, for sure I haven't watched a game of an SEC team. I'm a little aware of some of the scores, but your world just kind of seems to narrow, and then it just gets even more narrow where you're just so locked in on. I think all coaches are like that. It's like you live in this alternate reality of, well, I have this shirt and these shorts and these shoes in my office, and so it says on my calendar media availability at 1. Okay, when am I going to take a shower? And I have on my Steve Jobs outfit on what I wear to media. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even make sense.
All right, anything else?
Thank you, guys.